All right, welcome everyone. Welcome back to Cyber Lab. So hopefully, you got to talk to your Cyber Pal officers, or even if you're not in Cyber Pals, you got to talk to someone. Yeah, quickly some announcements. So our first CTF that we're competing in is this Saturday. That's just 3 days away, 1 to 6 p.m. in the Engineering 4 Tesla room. We like to stress this, that no prior experience is needed. You don't have to have been to a CTF before to come out. And this one in particular, we think is like decently beginner friendly. And yeah, get cyber brunch with us. We meet around like 11:30 a.m. Go to some dining hall before we go CTF. So yeah, it's a nice thing. Cyber Academy and Cyber Lab, as usual, are next week. Specifically, so the next Cyber Lab will have a talk by Professor Tian. She's from the EE department, I think, and she'll be talking a little bit about some things that her lab is up to. And she's very much into security, so we like her and what she's doing a lot. And then a few socials. So CTF IRL, come play Capture the Lemon Think with us on the intramural fields. It's pretty fun. Well, I guess it's not real grass, but come touch grass. This will be Saturday, November 1st, 6 to 8 p.m. So that's like 2 weeks away. And then something a little further into the future, Cyber Potluck. Yeah, we just go to one of the university apartments, use their grills, grill some burgers, hot dogs. Yeah, and then if you want to make something to bring or like buy something, that's also cool. Yeah, this will be November 15th, starting 6:30 or so. And please RSVP for this so we know like how many burgers to buy, things like that. Yes, that's l.acmcyber.com/potluck. And with that, yeah, you guys have seen this already before. So yeah, with that, I'm going to invite Katie up to talk about Esolangs.
So yeah, what do you guys think of when I say computer program? Maybe it's something like C++, like the Bees game from CS31, or something in Python, or even like Java from APCS or something. But what about something like this, or this, one of these, or maybe even this? And yes, all of those words are chicken. So yeah, those are some examples of what are called Esolangs, or esoteric programming languages. So what is an Esolang? Esoteric programming languages aren't typically used to write software, so they won't be like running your apps or games or things like that. Instead, they're often made for various reasons, like to test the boundaries of programming languages. We'll see some examples of those. They're made to be difficult to compile or ones that you can write really short programs in. They can be also made as art, as in like the first example that I showed. And I don't know, there's something poetic about seeing 100 chickens on your screen as well. And of course, they can be made as a joke or just for fun. And the relation to cybersecurity, on the surface, it might not seem like much, but I feel like they have a similar mindset of just kind of testing limits and thinking creatively. And I have also seen a couple CTF challenges use Esolangs like Chef, emoji code, which looks like this, and cuneiform, which was at a CTF PBR I did last year. So yeah, I'll be going over a couple examples of Esolangs that I think kind of show the breadth of possibilities that we have. So this is Pete. It's inspired by Pete Mondrian's paintings, which look like this. As you can see, they're both very rectangular. And apparently in 2022, a museum discovered that an artwork of his was displayed upside down. But you can't really tell that it's upside down, right? So similarly, a Pete program also works when it's upside down. You just need to add a couple of codals to correct the start point. So how it works is, just minimize this. You have a codal, which is a unit of color. For example, like this turquoise square right there. You also have color blocks, which are groups of adjacent codals. And program execution starts with the upper left codal, and it moves facing right, although you can change the direction as you code. So yeah, there's a single stack, and then you have a bunch of commands based on the change in hue and lightness. Like one step hue change could be, for example, from green to cyan. And you have a two darker / one lighter, because it's cyclic. Two darker is the same thing as one lighter. That could be, for example, from light green to dark cyan. And that change would represent multiplying. So for multiplication, you would pop two values from the stack, multiply them, and push them back onto the stack. And you have a bunch of other commands, like for other math operations, changing the direction, printing, getting input, and so on. And this program prints hello world. And then we have brainfuck, which is the actual name of the language, although it's often censored. One funny one was like bran flakes, like the cereal. But yeah, so the goal for this one was making the smallest possible compiler, so it's very minimalistic. It's also classified as a Turing carpet. So technically you can use this to write any program, but it's not practical, meaning it would be a pain to do so. You have an array of memory cells and a pointer, which initially points to the first memory cell, and you have 8 total commands. You can move the pointer to the right or left, you can increment or decrement the value the memory cell stores, you can output and input, and you can do loops by using these brackets. So yeah, brainfuck is one of the most popular Esolangs, and so there are a ton of variations like brain fork, which has an extra symbol Y that causes the current thread to fork. And a fork bomb would look like this. If you've taken CS35L, you know what that is. Basically, it spawns infinite threads that consumes all your resources and may crash your computer. So don't try this at home. Yeah, there's also puzzling, which only has one symbol, X, and the behavior is determined by its neighbor characters. So that sounds like even more of a pain to program in. We have 5D brainfuck with multiverse time travel based on 5D chess with multiverse time travel, and microwave, which is inspired by the sounds of a microwave. Lovely. Yeah, and then here's Befunge, which is pretty cool because it's actually laid out in a 2D grid. Its name comes from a typo before, and its goal was to be as difficult to compile as possible. So you have a 2D grid, and execution can go in any direction. So you start at the top left, and then you go to the right, you hit the V, you go down, you hit the less than sign and go to the left again, and so on. So that's one reason why it's difficult to compile, but it can also be self-modifying. So you can actually write code to like change what's at any specific cell. You could change like the capital H to be anything else. You change like the V right there to be like a less than sign and have an infinite loop going back and forth over that top row. So yeah, there's also a single stack, and like Pete, math operations work by popping two values, like doing the math operation, then pushing the result. You also have a bunch of commands to change the direction, and the question mark just makes you go in a random direction. You can do if statements by using an underscore or a vertical bar, and that sets the direction depending on the value popped in the stack, whether it's 0 or not. And then since code execution kind of goes in whatever direction, sometimes you might want to jump over lines. So you can do that using a bridge, which is represented by a hashtag. So yeah, these are some programs written in Befunge. The one on the left is an infinite loop. The one in the middle is a calculator. You can input like 1 to add, 2 to subtract, 3 to multiply, 4 to divide. And you use the ampersands to get user input as a number. And then you kind of like do the operations. You see the vertical bar being used as an if, basically. And yeah, we have a random number generator over here from 1 to 9. Just keeps going forever. And then we also have Shakespeare. This also prints hello world. Yes. It resembles Shakespeare's plays with the characters being variables so they can store values. You can do a bunch of different things with them. Speak Your Mind outputs the ASCII character stored in that character. I'll just call like characters as in people, just persons or people. So ASCII it assigns a numeric value to characters like capital A or lowercase b or something. So you can use Speak Your Mind to output those values. Open Your Heart outputs it as an actual number. Open Your Mind takes input from the user, and so does Listen to Your Heart, but just as a number. And people can edit each other's values by saying you are so-and-so. A noun is either positive or negative one, depending on whether it's like positive, like a compliment, or negative, like an insult. And each adjective describing it doubles its value. You get things like, speak your mind, you're as worried as the sum of yourself and the difference between my small, smooth hamster and my nose. Speak your mind. So yeah, small, smooth hamster, I guess that's positive. So it'd be like 5. And the difference between that and my nose is like 5 minus 1, which is, small, smooth hamster would be 4. So 4 minus 1 is 3. And so that'd be like plus equals 3, basically. You also have the grand if greater than condition, and the just as incredible if equal to condition. I guess bonus points for being as dramatic as possible. So yes. I don't have time to cover all the Esolangs. You can actually see a bunch of them at esolangs.org. That's where I got most of the information for this from. You can also actually make your own Esolangs and just post it there with a description of how it works, some commands, and some examples. But yeah, the other ones in the intro slides were hexagony, the one in hexagons, and chicken. There's also Babalang, which is based on the game Baba Is You. There's one written in runes. Something cool about that is you have like a bit of mythology wrapped into there. Like there is giant is a conditional gate, but they also have this reasoning that a giant guards the gate, so you must have runes to pass. There's Black Pentagon over here, which is also kind of like art. You have Dead Fish, which only has 4 commands actually: increment, decrement, square, or output. And it looks like this. It sounds very painful. And you also have a bunch of Esolangs made for code golfing, which is when you try to solve a problem in as short of a program as possible. So you have things like golf script and seriously. The way they work is they can either assign a bunch of functions to one command or just have like a ton of different commands. Like for seriously, like a capital H, if the stack is empty, you would push hello world. So yeah, thank you for listening. Any questions? Thank you.
All right, so it's Cyber Lab time. Yeah, I guess we'll have Malware Lab up in the front. Adblock can go to the back and use the back TV screens, and then Fuzzing Lab, we are banishing you to the clubhouse. But you guys get a cool projector, so hopefully that makes up for it. But yeah, thanks for coming, everyone.